Neena, thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
This is awesome. This is the first time I've been here without usually a party, usually a drinking event here.
Yeah, I guess so, right? We do get work done.
Yeah, I actually saw the other side. I've never seen the other side of the building as well. Also, a very impressive operation over there. It's more than
Thank
just
you.
this room here.
Yeah, we have 8,000 square feet on the other side. That's where our office is when we work hard, and then we come over here and play hard.
Nice.
Mhm.
All right, so we were joking beforehand. It's Neena Vlamis or Neena Vlamis. What is the correct pronunciation of the last name? Let's get that
So
correct. 'Cause I'm
my
gonna have to do the
husband and
intro.
I are complete opposites, and we do everything down to pronouncing our last name in the wrong direction, right? So I say Vlamis, he says Vlamis. So I have 3 kids. My oldest one, Michael, his nickname is Vlam, and my middle one is all his friends nicknamed him Blam. So it's kind of funny.
So all right,
So you can go
we
either way.
All right, so I'm not gonna f up the name.
No.
Perfect.
That's
We're off
good
to
for the intro. Yeah.
yeah, we're off to a good start here.
Good.
All right, so this is a huge operation you have. I think most of our listeners are aware of A&N. Let's talk about just starting before A&N. How did you get what out of college? What was Neena doing out of college? What were you looking to do? Was real estate on your horizon at all?
Yeah, so when I was younger, my dad and mom had rental properties, and I always got a really big high going to pick up the rents with my dad. Learned a lot of mistakes from him. Like he took cash one time. It was from a family of gypsies, and
I think first time we said gypsy, we
I
all
don't
looked at
know.
each other.
Yeah, I
"Are
was
we
like,
allowed to
can I
say
say that? Yeah, and the cash was in VHS cassette tapes, and my dad would
That's
get
fantastic.
so excited. He'd take the cash and then he'd put it in a brown bag. So he was a mechanical engineer. And he always had like a side job just to make sure ends meet. We didn't grow up with a lot of money at all. So there was a bag, and if you needed money, you'd go into the brown bag or the VHS tape, and that's where you took the money out of the drawer. And then once it was out, we were done for the month. There was no extra money in our household at all. So that was one of the things that was like, that was really exciting because I was able to buy things that we couldn't really afford on his W-2 job. You know?
Are you from Chicago?
Yeah, born in at Grant Hospital, which is not there any longer. It's condos across on Webster.
Okay.
My dad is from New Delhi, India, and my mom is Swedish. Just found out she's half Irish, which you
Is that
should
a St.
always
Patty's Day
ask.
thing, or
Yeah,
no?
you should always ask before you tell somebody in your family and take the test because they may not want to know, you know? Yeah, so my mom came from a farm from Minnesota, and my dad and mom met at 440 West Webster
Oh wow.
All right, so
many years ago.
you saw that collecting rents, you knew this was going to be in your future. Did you study anything around real estate in college or no? Okay.
No, I was an English major. I went to UIC. I wanted to be a professor and teach in English. I have 12 hours left to get my master's degree, and one of the teachers
Sounds like you're right. Really,
Yeah.
finish that.
right. One of the counselors came in and I had to meet with her, and she's like, I really think that you're the youngest person here and you need to go get work experience. And I was like, but I'm doing really well in school. Why would I stop? I'm almost done. I had a plan for everything. Everything I do, I always have a plan. And she was like, because you're just too young to be here. You're the youngest one in the class and it doesn't make sense. So go out and get some work history and then come back and finish your 12 hours. And I'm like, okay. So then I went out and I worked at a bank, M&I Bank, Marshall and Isley Bank. Got to the top really quick, got promoted, decided to open up my own mortgage company. Asked my husband if it was okay if we didn't go on a honeymoon, and he was like, okay. Here I am,
What year was that?
2002.
2002. Okay, so
Mhm.
that was before the climb of the first market, before the crash. So tell us about what it was like in 2002, the environment. Because a lot of our listeners don't
They don't know
don't
what
even know
2002 was. Yeah.
pre-pan or pre.
110%
Yeah.
LTV.
Yeah.
So 2002 was, I think the rates were 7% on a 30-year fix, I would say. And the files would come in, we'd process the files. Everything was done by paper. There was no paperless at all, right? And we did in-home closing, so we would have the closer go to the house, just like we do now. From 2002 and on, the market cycles definitely came into play. The rents, what I've noticed from then, have always increased. So becoming an investor and a landlord is really a big deal.
Yep.
You know?
At that point, were you an investor, or were you strictly just running the lending company, or you started saying, "Hey, I want to start picking up this rent"?
So I picked up my first property at 24, and I still own that property today.
That's awesome. What
Yeah.
neighborhood?
Taylor Street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Right by
Taylor
school.
Street. The second one I picked up, which is in Old Town, 235 West Eugenie. Bought it as an investment property, never lived in that one. Still have that one today. They cash flow really well.
Yes, great
Yeah,
areas. And
yeah.
O2, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming price what you paid and
Right.
a
right.
zero to
yeah.
it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask though a little bit about the mindset because I believe you were working at the bank and then you just went and opened
A mortgage
Like,
company.
I feel like there's some in between. Like, what made you say like that's what I want to do, or that makes sense, or I mean, it's pretty hard to open a mortgage company now. It was a lot easier back then. Like,
Oh,
as
it
far
wasn't
as,
easy by any means. It
Okay,
was
well,
not
then
easy.
tell us a
Yeah,
little more about it, 'cause
it's
if-
not easy.
How
No.
did you just jump into something that's really not that easy?
Yeah. So I had a passion for it. I realized at the bank, like it was really difficult to get things done. And I saw how they ran things and it was not, it just kind of made my stomach churn a lot and it didn't feel good, right? So I was like, why would I want to work for somebody else the rest of my life that doesn't provide healthy, good environment? And so I knew that I could provide that. Started gathering the paperwork. I remember going to, it was before you could go on CyberDrive and get your name, like to do your articles of incorporation. You drove downtown, paid to park, and
Yep.
I went in my Honda Prelude and was like, oh, there's 10 people behind me. All the names I had picked were gone. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, A to be first in the phone book, A, and N. And then I messed up and I put A ampersand N, which you can't put an ampersand on a website. So don't do that, right? So I was like, A and N mortgage, A ampersand N. Now it's DBA, A and N. So that was kind of how that worked.
So is the N for Nina and the A is just to be
It was
first in the
always to
phone
be
book?
first in the phone book.
That's
And so for our 24-year-old listeners, the phone book was a thing. That,
Oh yeah, it's our phone book and a Rolodex. Don't forget the Rolodex,
yeah,
right?
Rolodex and the phone
I
book.
use
Yeah.
the word Rolodex because sometimes you use that loosely. Sometimes and someone's like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But-
still have mine in my drawer.
My construction company, Atlantis Builders, was A for that reason. I think we started in 2003, but
Mhm.
we did it for that same reason. Like, we want to be first in the phone book.
Right, right.
Well, that's like if you get like a AAA roof, and it's like, all right, these guys have been around a while.
Yeah.
Triple
AAA plumbing.
Yeah, AAA for a reason.
Right,
They knew
right,
it was up.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we go, we incorporate. Now, is this just you, or did you pull other people from the bank? Like, just
No. So the bank was Marshall and Isley was out of Wisconsin, and what happened was that just it was like they wanted one branch out here, but I was a rep on the ground. Like I would go and make 9 sales calls every day, and it's crazy
So this
because
is
I kept my
territory-
phone number. Yeah. And like up to a few years ago, I would still get phone calls because you did a blast fax, and everybody kind of kept folders back
Oh
then.
man, yeah.
So
Which
the
is
whole
illegal now.
mindset- yeah.
Which is the blast fax. You're not
Yeah, the
allowed
blast
to do
fax. It's illegal?
Yeah, you can't.
Oh,
do
I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
still
yeah.
receive them from roofers all the time.
Oh,
on my
yeah.
e-fax. It's
If you
really
don't
annoying.
sign in and allowed to, I've seen a lot of people get wrapped in class actions on that.
I did not know that. Wow.
Not that anyone's like worried about faxing too
Faxing?
much these days.
Yeah. It's expensive. The e-fax receipt is like $6 a fax.
Well, that's not worth it.
No.
Send a postcard
Yeah.
for 55
Exactly.
cents.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
All
Can
right,
you send a postcard for 55 cents?
with Deal Machine, we can start plugging
Oh.
them.
It's good to know.
Yeah, with a picture of the property on it.
Mm-hmm.
All
Back
right.
then, we would have pagers.
Yeah.
So one of the marketing things to get leads we did was on the open house signs. If it was for sale by owner, we would attach a phone number and you'd text to
page you.
they'd page you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh,
you
that's-
type in the phone number, you'd call, they'd page you, and that was always good ROI because then
Yeah.
you'd capture the leads that way. Now you have display ads on the internet, which is kind of a modernized way of how we used to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned sales call. That brings me back because I remember when I was a sales rep around that time, and if I had to go make 5 sales calls, I had to go to the office to print out my Google map, and then like let's say
No,
right?
it wasn't Google Map. It was like MapQuest or like
Yeah,
Maps.com.
MapQuest, yeah,
like,
man.
yeah.
But then like so let's say you had 5 appointments and appointment 3 canceled on you, I wouldn't have how to go to 2 to 4. Like,
Oh, that's the worst.
I'd have to like look at I'd have to unfold an actual map,
Mhm.
or I just have to go to 3 and be like, all right, now I know how to get to 4, even
Right.
though this guy's not meeting me. Which
That's
is awesome.
terrible. Yeah. What did you sell?
I did mortgages for 5 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I did. It was I did it during the worst time. I started right after the crash. I got
So,
trained.
08.
I got trained when everyone was making like you're gonna make $1 billion doing this, and then I grinded it out from pretty much like 07 to 12,
Mm,
and I just didn't know any better.
right.
So it was kind of very good in a way because I just didn't know. It was super hard, and I just didn't realize. I just thought that's how life was. Like, oh, just got to go work
mm-hmm.
10 hours a day to
Right.
grind out a decent living. But the people who did it, like that class of mine, like almost everyone went on to do pretty decent things because you just got thrown in and had to do it at
Mhm.
such a crappy time. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Of course it makes sense. I bought this
Um,
building in the worst possible time ever.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know,
August
I'm grateful
27th,
that it happened.
07. Yeah.
So.
That's good.
So you remember the date you bought the building?
Oh, I
because it
remember
was-
the date because I overpaid for it. Of course I do.
That's hilarious because I remember March 15, 2006, like all these dates.
Why
of the
do you
properties I
remember that
bought,
day?
It was because these are the horrible days that
Yeah.
I always look back at how many more years I got this loan that's a high rate that I couldn't refinance because it went so undervalued. Like so, I remember those painful days for those 2 condos.
Do you still have that property?
I have all 3 of them, but now they're the three that got caught the downturn are all, I think 50% loan to value. The price went up, and now it's just like now you got to like grind it through and keep them.
Yeah, time.
Yeah, time.
Time's your biggest
All
asset.
right, there you go.
We bought a building at 2651 through 53 North Marshfield at the wrong time. We were planning on developing it, turning it into a condo conversion, and I'm like, I cannot manage this at all. So I think it's really important to know when you can't do something, because that opens the door for a lot of yeses, and just knowing when to get out, right?
Yep.
Got to know when to get out.
So let's talk about scaling. You bought this building. Like, at what point it went from Neena to Neena and the team? Like, just the gradual progression of.
So in '02, I started with 5 employees. 2 unfortunately have passed away. 2 still work here, and 1 we still keep in touch with, doesn't work here anymore. So this company has grown because of the word of mouth. I don't really go out and recruit. I don't do a lot of that. So it's all organic growth. How we've expanded into the other states is also organically. If we have an employee that's doing well and they plan on moving to Texas, then that's how we got licensed in Texas. So it's always organically. And I feel like for me, coming with really good values, that's really important to make sure that you are growing with the right people and not at a fast speed. So I would rather, grow organically than grow abruptly and then it doesn't work.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. I've grown and failed many, many times. At the peak of our production, we closed over $1 billion in volume. On average, we do
It's
about
huge.
500.
That's
What year was that?
The bottle. What year was that? A couple years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a ton. How many like loans is
I don't know, but it's on that bottle. Somebody got me a
That's-
big. It was like,
I mean,
yeah.
that is a ton.
Yeah,
That
it
is
was a lot of
ton
volume. It was really hard. I mean, we were working long days. I think some of the systems that I could have done better, and as a business owner, you pound on yourself all day long, every day, day in and day out. How could I have done this better? What could I have done? At the end of the day, if you're treating people right, they stay with you. If you have open transparency and communication, I think that's really the key, you know?
Well, so like loan officers, the ones you hire, what would you say would be like the 3 or 4 biggest attributes you're looking for out of that person? Like,
Honesty is huge for me, and being able to have really hard conversations. I'm very open. I want to know. I don't even have a door on my office. I want to know what's going on. How do you feel when you're upset? I don't want to be diarrheaed on. I have boundaries. I don't need that either. I want to be respected, but at the same time, it's really to do what we do is an intense job. It's very, very hard. And you're dealing with people's biggest assets, and they're going through a lot, right? When they're signing that purchase contract, to going to what the hell did I do? Why did I do this? They go through a grieving period, right? So that is tough to begin with from an emotional standpoint, but it's also a numbers game. We're very competitive people by nature. So making sure, that they're honest and they're vulnerable. That would be number 2, vulnerability, and then really good communication. That's really important. It saves marriages.
How do you, obviously, I think people that come into your industry are pretty self-driven, and they're pretty aggressive. And sometimes the all-star guy could kill culture, and you have to make tough decisions. But how someone comes into your company, how do you really see that they're a good fit down the road, or how do you review that? Because I think that you've built an amazing culture here, and maintaining the culture is far tougher than anyone could ever imagine once you get the culture.
So I think that having the group of people that we have, and we've been together for a long time, we're very particular on who we add into our group, and that's not always right. From an ROI standpoint, it's not right at all, right? Because that's not how you become a master of scale. I am not a master of scale. I am lucky. I work really hard, and I have good systems, and I make sure that each employee has good job details and knows exactly what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, so that we can count them as accountable, right? But I think that's probably one of the things I failed at, I would say, because I'm not going to let everybody in. And I don't want to let everybody in because I don't want a bad reputation, and I want to be able to service the people that we do have.
But that's not even necessarily a fail. Like that's like self-control.
Really nice. Thank you.
Like
I didn't look at it that way.
No,
Yeah.
no. Like I know we've had people. I've had to make tough decisions where it's like, man, like, dude, you're killing it. But it's like you're killing our culture, and you're.
Yeah, I
like,
don't want that.
and you had to
Yeah.
make some of those tough decisions.
We had somebody here that I didn't even want to walk by her desk, and I would go on the other side instead of walking that way, and I'm like, this is not okay, right?
Yeah.
And when you have that knot in your stomach, you're like, that knot directs traffic for me here. So I'm like, this isn't working. But it's okay to have a conversation, have an adult conversation with the person because they're probably not happy either. And then be adults about it and work it out, right? Work it out so that the departure's smooth and kind. And I always want to remain as professional as I possibly can and then do right by the person that leaves as well.
You talked about open and honest conversations. More people are not comfortable with that than are. Like, how do you
Hmm.
bring people in, set the expectations about like just being, having the people avoid tough conversations altogether. Hell, they avoid talking to people these days, just not
Yeah.
texting. Like, how do you set that expectation for the company?
It's one thing I ask right away. Is this something you want to, is this a company you want to be at? Come and hang out with us first, which is the weirdest interview process. Come to one of our events, see if you fit with the people. I'm hiring one lady that I met at my daughter Eleni's camp. She was the mom, and I saw her struggling on Instagram. I'm like, I know I could help her, but I'm not one to be like, I can help you. I'm going to figure out all your answers at all. So she said hello to me first, then I said hello back, and it was kind of like a slow roll, probably nine or 10. And then she was like, hey, do you want to meet up? I would love for you to come here. And guess what? She starts in a few weeks. But I didn't just say, come in and start here. Here's your desk, right? It was a slow roll of, am I a fit? Kind of like courting each other in a weird way. And now she's so excited, you know?
But that's so cool. So that is a skill set of, so what someone said the other day, like always be recruiting. Like
Yeah.
you're sometimes you don't even have a position for somebody, but if the right person comes along, but you were like literally like in a way like scoping her, stalking her, like sizing her up. I guess that's a good word.
Courtney sounded better
Yeah.
than stalking.
Yeah. Sizing her up. We'll go with
All I
sizing
could
her
think
up.
is I could build her brand. I could really, really help her. And I don't know how, but she felt that way.
Yeah.
And she was at a bank out of Florida and she was totally alone here. And so I like noticed she looked at me at the camp drop off and I'm like, this beautiful woman, right? Like, why is she looking at me? And then I realized like she did loans and then we followed each other and it kind of just trickled into that.
But finding talent in weird places
That was
is
the
like an
weirdest-
entrepreneur like
right?
skill set. Like that's you always
Ah.
got to be like my business partner Brian. Like we've had multiple people that he met. We make fun of him and he takes it personally, but it's a skill. Like he's literally met people that work at the gas station. He's brought them in and they've done different things for us, the organization.
So he's a life changer. He changes people's lives.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
I like that. So you mentioned going into other states.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk a little bit about just maybe some of the behind the scenes? 'Cause it sounds, on the surface, it sounds easy, right? It sounds,
It does.
on the surface.
Mhm.
We hire a bunch of brokers, they sell a bunch of loans, and like, boom, we have profit. But like, can you talk about just that you probably have errors and emissions insurance, like all the
Oh,
stuff,
my gosh,
all the stuff
yes.
that people don't realize. You have to go get licensed in the other states, like just
Mhm.
all the back end of lending. That
Mhm.
Oh, it's so regulated.
yeah,
Mhm.
and we as consumers don't see that at all.
Just in the stack of paperwork. That's always
Right. And why isn't it done faster? Because there are regulations. There are definitely state laws, and every state law is different, right? It's not federal, it's by state. In each state, I think it's Washington, you can't use the word best in your advertising. You're not best or fastest or same day, right?
Betterest.
Yeah. You need to make sure that you know the laws and you really study them. So for me, when I expand into different states, I make sure that I take the actual continuing ed and I do the initial license, and then I take notes on like in my Outlook, I keep a lot of stuff in there based on state and what do I need and what are the specifications and where am I going to get burned? Because I don't want to be in trouble. I've never had a detention, you know? So I'm the one sitting on the Zoom call with the auditor. That's really important. So what did I learn and how do I fix that moving forward? And you get nailed because it is hard, you know, but we try really hard not to have to go through that. But there's a lot, errands and emissions, FICA tax. There's things that people don't see behind the scenes on how much does it cost. It costs in general 25%, if you have a W-2 employee, 25% on top of their salary. So if they're making $100,000, you want to factor in to your budget $25,000 to cover the overhead for those extra items.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot in any business. Like you just
Mhm.
underestimate all the other things that go into making it go right.
Well, those things become time suck. So, like, as you've scaled the business, how has, what's things that you wish you could have done differently, or hired that other person, or delegated additional things like that you wish you could go back on? I guess.
So I think winterizing, right? We know business is going to get really slow in the winter. So winterizing, preparing the employees for winterizing. How do we winterize? Well, I had to do layoffs. I swear to God, a piece of my heart is missing from doing these layoffs. I literally thought I was going to die when I did it. So I was like, I'm going to do these calls myself. because I am so upset about it. And we're so tight. There's 80 people, but we're so tight that that needs to be done by me. It's not fair if somebody's working all these hours or they've been through really hard times and really slow times with me that I can't do it. And the best part today, I ended up calling 4 of those people back. And that was just so meaningful. And they were like, I waited for you. I'm like, I waited for you. And your heart feels full again, you know? So
That's good
knowing
stuff.
when to winterize is the hardest part, if you care.
Yeah.
If you just are looking at strict numbers, which that's what you're looking at from like the people that approve you, right? I'm selling loans to Chase. I sell to Freddie Mac. I sell to on all the secondary market. I have a hedge desk out of California, trading desk. So when they're looking at your finances and everything else, there's no cover letter with how you feel about what you're doing, you know? That's the hardest part.
Yeah. All right, so we have your note cards. So we got to get into some of these. I
Some
know
of
we've
my
been
note
asking you-
cards. Yeah, I
We've
love
been
my note
asking about
cards.
A&N, and I
Yeah,
know we
no,
sat here.
that was good. That was good.
Let's talk. Let's go back to the investing front for a second.
Okay.
You're going through your first cost seg.
Yeah, so cost segregation is something that's really wonderful, and I think there's some really good points on cost seg. So this building is 7 city lots, right? I've closed on it August 27th, 07. So this is a long-term hold. I bought the building by writing the person notes, and finally somebody connected us because it wasn't for sale. And
So wait, take me back. You were handwriting notes to the.
to the person that owned the building, his brother-in-law and mother-in-law, this building's connected with them. They had a ball, like a fight. And so then the guy calls me. And I'm like, hey, I dream about your building. You have parking. I really want to buy it.
Well, how did you find this building though? Like
Well, I would drive past it. It's a great location, right?
Okay.
You're on the corner of Armitage and Nelson,
Yeah.
and you have parking. It's a
Yeah.
big deal. So this was a building that I just really envisioned myself being in and wanting to be in. And I'm very grateful to the owner for getting in a fight
were you
with
ever in the
them.
building when you're feeling all these like
Oh,
amazing
it
emotions?
used to be a nightclub.
Okay.
So it was called the Convent, I think, the latest one. And then somebody was shot. Something happened. It was bad, but
okay.
it all worked out well. We have good energy now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Awesome.
So when I bought the building, the roof was leaking. So we patched it for many, many years. And then what happened was I finally got enough money and enough like guts to actually rehab the building. So all of your receipts, when you do a cost seg, make sure that you keep everything and all your documentation. And then you go and you hire somebody. So let's say the cost to hire the person is $6,000. Pay the person the $6,000 after you do your references, and then make sure that you plan on keeping the building for another 5 years. When you do a cost seg and you get the money back, they don't give you a check back like I thought. Yeah, so I could
Goes
finish
against your
the
game.
parking
It just
lot.
makes your
Yeah,
tax-
did not. Yeah, so you actually have to refile your tax returns and budget for that because that costs money.
Yeah.
And then they give you a credit. That's why the parking lot's not done yet.
Still looks good out there.
Thanks for your support. Yeah, I really thought it was a check.
So you love this building and you basically stalked. Are we not using that word?
You can use
Stock,
that.
you can use stock.
Yeah.
You can use it
Yeah.
here in this
Yeah.
scenario?
That's good stalking.
Yeah.
That is,
So
you deserve this building.
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
yeah.
you saw it, you wanted it, and you started
Yeah.
doing something about it instead of being like, oh, I don't have any deals. Like what
No.
every one of our
people do that,
listeners,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say everyone, just but so many people go to meet if I can't find a deal. Like, well,
That-
you didn't do this.
I mean, in the 15 minutes we've been talking, like you've literally like you just have such a drive to see what you want and go after it. Like 2 examples. Like, I don't know, it's amazing. I think you're awesome.
I think you're awesome, Mark. I don't even know you
What
yet.
about me?
Tom, we're not sure yet. We're not
I
sure,
tell you
Tom.
you're awesome all
yeah.
the time, man.
Right? We're not sure. So if you do the cost seg, did you guys do cost seg? You
I've
talked
done a
about it
couple
last
times.
show, I
Yep.
think, right?
Yep.
So that's how you knew.
I do.
hmm It's neat to talk to somebody that has experience. That's probably why you have a really good podcast.
See? Tune in.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we should get
Tune
people
in.
to listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So, all right. So, what are some of the other maybe recent investments you've done? Like we talk about the cost tag, but anything else worth noting here?
Yes,
Jump in.
yes. All right. So
Eyes are
I
lighting
found a piece of property in New Buffalo, Michigan. During COVID, we have a house in Michigan City. So we lived there during COVID, and then I drive in Tuesday through Thursday here. And I bought the land on the corner, kitty corner from Oinks. Are you guys familiar with New Buffalo,
Yep.
Michigan?
Michigan City, I'm very familiar with.
Okay,
New
love
Buffalo, I'm
Michigan
not,
City.
but
Okay,
yeah.
so it's right next door, right?
I know where it is, but yeah,
Okay.
Michigan City, I can do streets with. New Buffalo,
Really?
I don't know.
Did you
Every
grow up
summer?
there?
No, we go
Every
every summer.
Where do you stay?
So we stay right off the lake. So the lake's to the west, which confuses the hell out of me.
Okay.
Like-
It's WE, west, east.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure you know that.
it's been east my whole life.
Okay, got it.
Turned around. And then we were like, there's like 2 or 3 houses that we had Teddy Coolman, who's also a realtor here. We stay at his place now, and
Nice.
we are about a mile north of the zoo there. So where the
Okay.
main park is, the zoo.
Route
stay-
12.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. So my house is by, it used to be a funeral home. Not my house. Wait, let me back up. Let me back up on that. And you turn in and now
Got a
it's a
great
church.
deal on it.
Yeah, it's Doolin Beach Road. It's right around the corner. So we're not right on the beach, but we are a few blocks off, right off of Blueberry Pond. Really
Okay.
nice. Yeah.
See?
So that was a great property that I picked up. We bought that before we were married. My husband and I bought that before we were married, and that one we had the lot next door, and then we just added the other lot so that nobody can really build there, which is kind of neat.
Played some defense. I like
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that deal. So the third lot was the man, I was bidding against him, the man that lived next to that house. So I was bidding against him, and then he was smart enough, he was a professor, that he called me here and he was like, I think we're bidding against each other because I don't want any land. And I was like, well, you know what? I have 3 kids. They're in private school. You don't want to build? He's like, nope, I don't want to build. I go, perfect. That was the goal, right? So he took it and then paid for it, and I didn't have to do anything, and nothing was built, right? Not a bad investment trade. Unfortunately, he died. It was terrible. So his children called me and said, you know, give us $1,000 more than he paid because I know he would have wanted you to have this, which was so nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
nice.
So then we picked up the lot a few years ago, going back to New Buffalo. So I found this empty lot. It's on the corner of Barker and Water Street. So I purchased it during COVID thinking I could show my children how to build, become scalable, get an ROI. Disaster strikes. Yeah, no. COVID ends, and then what? Out of sight, out of mind. So finally, we just started rehabbing that property. It used to be a weed shop. I was like weed, but it's been gutted, and we're gonna establish a new business.
So
a
what
new
happened
A&N
during
there.
COVID though? Why didn't it get off the ground?
Why didn't it get off the ground? Products were too expensive, and couldn't find contractors.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't want to overpay just because of the timing, because the market's going to correct itself. It always does.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What's on the horizon? Right? You got some stuff in Michigan. You got some stuff here. You're running a giant company. Like what's
The next build out is going to be Clarendon Hills. Purchased the property about 1.5 years ago. So we just started the build out in Clarendon Hills, trying to move to the western suburbs as well, just to do a broader footprint. I didn't realize until I built out this property that you can get walk-in traffic. Like, just so dumb. I don't know. I was an English major. So dumb. I regret not having business classes and learning by example or by being in pain, right? So what happened was all this traffic started coming in because we put it all back together, you know? So
Mhm.
now I think getting a bigger footprint is going to be key.
we see it from the metro, right? Like you like
Dumb.
Yeah.
You should have told me that a long time ago.
I
Just didn't know. I didn't know any better. I was always grinding, you know?
So you can build
Head
out a
down.
second location. In
Yeah, so
Clarendon.
we have an office in Fountain Hills in Arizona also.
Okay.
Expanded out there. But just slow expansion is going to be the key. Organic. If there's an ROI in it, it's great. If there's not, then I always can just slowly pull back.
Why Fountain Hills?
My son is in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
So I was like
Oh, perfect.
praying because I knew I was going to open that office that he was going to go there. But I wanted to make sure he picked, not me.
Yeah.
I like the kids to
little steering.
pick themselves. Praying,
Little
more
steering.
like praying and envisioning, right? Here's an Arizona hat. Yeah.
Yeah. What
Mhm.
like you want to start something in Arizona? What's that process? You just need like 1 or 2 boots on the ground.
Yeah,
Like,
so
like
usually
what's that? Like
Mhm.
how big of a capital?
Investment is
injection
it?
is
It
it?
costs money. You definitely need money. You know, I don't know dollar for dollar exactly how much it is, but you definitely need money, and I usually set up 2 years so that I have a 2-year window, and then I can see if there's an ROI on that.
Got it.
There's not always an ROI, but sometimes, like, if you've had a past client, because we've been in business so long, we have a past client and they're calling and they're moving to Arizona, you want to say, yes, I can do that loan there.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's your referral tree, and it continues to grow and grow.
Yep. Wow. What are some differences you've seen now that you're like? What's some things unique about Chicago now that you're lending in other places? We're like, oh, that's
So
kind of weird.
different.
about
It is so different to lend in different states. It's crazy. So we went out and started to do Nashville, but the market's completely different. Arizona, it seems like a lot of things are PUDs there. A lot of planned unit development. So you make sure, and their contracts are different. Your pre-approval letter is different. Florida, it's a little. They have a completely standardized contract. There's really nothing you can do to change or update it. They don't like cross-offs. So in each audit, you can tell there's different products.
What do you think as an investor or a buyer? What is the best state to what's the best lending terms you'll get? Like, does it matter? Like, do you get more aggressive terms in Arizona or better rates?
So
or,
Chicago is the tightest market and the most competitive. I think Boston and Chicago are very competitive. You have a lot of shoppers. People are really just looking for the best deal. We get a lot of people coming to us after they've been turned down elsewhere, or they got quoted. It's one thing to quote a rate, and it's another thing to close a loan.
Mhm.
You could finish my sentence.
Yeah,
Because you've been there.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you want to make sure when you find the right mortgage company that you're actually, okay, is this a great loan officer? Am I going to have a great service? Is the deal going to close? You've earnest money on it. It's shocking how many people were like, nope, I'm just going to go find an online lender. You don't go to the doctor online.
Yeah.
Why would you use that? This is your money. Crazy.
The industry, though, I'm not saying any of your people, but the industry has that. I was explaining it to Lance the other day. Like, there's a lot of these people that just say, yeah, no, we'll get it done. Don't worry about it. Just get the contract signed and get over to me. And they have no clue about anything.
No.
And it's like they're just trying to hook you in. And like that's that type of activity or response then ends up yielding a bad reputation for just industry in general. So
Right.
that stinks. That's what you're always up against.
I say investors do that too, though. People put something under contract, and then it's like, oh yeah, we'll just ask for $20K. If we don't get it, we'll walk. Like,
Yeah, well,
it's
I
so
don't.
easy to walk in Illinois. It shouldn't be this way, but
I don't like that game either.
no, absolutely not.
We'll get you on the home inspection. Like,
Yeah, like those. There's plenty of deals I've won in second position out of that. Like, okay, like if this guy balks, call me before you go back to market type of thing.
yeah.
So you're always the backup?
Yeah, what's backup?
Yeah.
Is that a good thing to say?
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean it bad.
No, but like it's not just. I guess it's not just lenders. It's like human nature, right?
Mhm.
Like people are just they want to get something done.
But there's a lot of investors. That's their sole strategy. Like,
That's terrible.
That's like literally like I know a
Mhm.
couple of commercial guys out in the burbs that do that too. Like that literally give you $110 a square foot, and then all of a sudden they're closing at 70 because they back you around up at the last minute.
Oh, not good.
Yeah. All right. So, what about? Let's talk about closing here. What makes A&N different? Like, can you talk a little bit about? We say yes, like, hey, I'm a buyer. I'm gonna go with you guys. How do I know that warm and fuzzy? Besides Neena telling me, hey, don't worry, we're gonna get this done for you.
So what we do is we take the file up front with all your documents. We review the file. We make sure that we don't have any holes in the file. If something happened, you lost your job, or the condo questionnaire came back with something disastrous, that's not because of you, right? So I think that's what makes us different. We start the work from the beginning, and we start early on in the process so that we don't have issues in the 11th hour unless it's an issue that is out of our control.
Yep.
That's something, and we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau since inception. That is huge. It means there's no complainers,
Yep. Actually, when I walked in, you had one of your guys talking. You just got a condo. So, I just got the condo approved. Oh,
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
That's so
Good
exciting.
to see you, Chuck.
Yeah.
Condo questionnaires are getting like
Mhm.
aggressively like a pain in the butt.
hmm And I talk a lot with associations on how to complete the condo questionnaire and making sure. One thing that I want to say, if you are on the board to an HOA, take the Fannie Mae condo questionnaire, the 8-page one, and fill it out once. And then when a lender asks for the condo questionnaire, that's the basic one,
Yeah.
right? It's Fannie Mae. That's a big entity. So then you have the answers. I think that the HOAs are just like not, especially the self-managed one, they're not really realizing they're filling out the same paperwork on
Yeah.
each one.
Yeah.
So I try to hope and coach and help anytime that somebody's on the HOA. They don't do it. They're working for free. You can't pay the HOA person to do it. So it's not their fault.
A lot of HOAs are charging now
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Like,
For the
like somebody was recently, it was like $600 like that they wanted
to get the
upfront
documents.
to get that submitted.
Because it's such a big ordeal. The decks, the bylaws, the budget, and all the items. They're keeping them in a storage, and then filling out the condo questionnaire. If you need it customized, it's more than that.
In the suburb world, we deal with it. I know you don't deal with this in the city.
In the where?
In the suburb world.
Oh.
Yeah. No.
What suburb are you in?
Well, our office in Roselle, and then I
Okay.
live in St. Charles. So
Okay. Thanks for driving all the
Just
way in.
east of Iowa.
Yeah.
All right.
St.
So,
Charles is
just
beautiful.
east of Iowa.
all right. So rates are higher than they've been right now. Historically, not that bad, but compared to
right.
3%, whatever we were seeing, how have you guys adjusted? Right? Like, how are you guys still cranking out loans? Like, not to get too tactical, but like, is it agents? Is it you're direct with buyers? Is it, how
Past
are you
client
keeping how are you
database.
keeping the pipeline coming in here?
So I think we've done a lot of
Because volume's
investor
down
video-
just in general in the industry.
Volume is definitely down. Inventory is low, right?
Yep.
Rates are a little bit higher. I think last year they were all like, the rate's too high, and now there's no inventory. Like, always buy, and buy as young as you possibly can, because that's how you build wealth. If you wait to buy and you're paying somebody else's mortgage, you're just throwing your money away, right? So buying young and learning lessons is essential. We hold a lot of meetups here. So this is the She Shed that we're filming in. And it's really important that this is a community center for people to come and learn from each other. You learn best by listening and talking and collaborating. So I think that's part of the reason that we're getting in deals and helping people. But genuinely, we're helping people. And by continuing to help them, they're sending their friends and their family over because they know we're going to get the job done.
How do you adjust the mindset of your team that hasn't seen 8%? Like you got into the business.
That was
This was pretty normal.
horrible.
Like,
That was a great question. That was so hard. They couldn't even
the
swap. They
lenders
couldn't
only-
sell it. And
Yeah.
you're like, guys, I know we're educators, but we're also in sales. And if they're saying the rate's too high, their pitches were wrong,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
wrong. I'm like, you guys, no. And so it was really hard to be able to sell differently, because we would sell, during the refi boom, it was a no closing cost refinance. Selling them all day. We gave back the commission and closed it. Well, the banks stopped giving us the commissions that they were giving before. The market corrected itself, and we weren't able to give all of that back to the clients anymore. Paying points became more of a skill, right? So because we sold the same way for so long, they were like, well, I can't sell this way. It's so hard because you felt like you were hurting the client. But the market was what it was, and it'll come back. It'll return. It's cyclical.
Yeah,
It's
if
a
you
great
don't
question.
believe selling is I forgot the quote, but selling is a transfer of feelings. If you don't believe on the get go, like
Yeah.
you don't got a
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
Right?
So
That's
so say it again.
selling is a transfer of it's said much more eloquently than that. Might be like a zigzag.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
I
not
was.
me.
It took me 10 minutes to explain it to you.
We
Get it
do
in
it
one word.
with our team on the property management side. So we got a team, like we have a lot of things in place on the property management, and we do them for a reason, not because that's what the management agreement says.
Mhm.
So like we have to work with our team and like, hey,
Mhm.
listen, we do that because this is what will happen to the owner if he doesn't do this, and he's going to get trouble from here, and that's why we tell him to do this,
Right.
not because it's our policy. So like
Mhm.
I think the why is something that we've always been big on trying to educate our team on with that stuff, and it sounds like the sales, like when things change, like that's probably tough. That's you as the leader have to go out there and say, hey, like this is not the end of the world. You just have to reframe it.
We have to pivot,
Yeah,
but it's hard to pivot, and it's hard to pivot all the time.
it's hard to pivot a lot of people. It's easy to
It's
walk
hard,
over and
yeah.
pivot 4 people. It's when
Right.
you have to, that whole moving a ship, a sailboat can turn right away. A
Mhm.
big ship, it's harder.
When I
so.
walk in, I'm sometimes like, okay, this is what I want to go over with them, and then I dream of Genie, but I wish it was all AI on the people, and I'm like, I can do this today. I can do this. Sometimes I epically fail at the end of the day, but you try, and
Yeah.
you're like, if one person understands it, and you can get your change champions on board, then the rest of the crew can.
You said that right there. So you call them change champions. In our company we call them influencers. It's like
Mhm.
you got to get these 3 or 4 people in, and then they'll do the rest of the work for you.
Right.
But
Right.
if they're on the wrong page, like that's where a lot
Can't
of
make
people.
any
Yes.
changes. It's horrible. I think one thing I've learned recently after winterizing, which is like just breaks me every single time, right? Winterizing and then going back to spring market, and it happens so quickly. Instead of looking at, okay, what is the cost? For me, my mind shift changes. In the winter, you're looking, what is the cost? How do I reduce cost? But then the spring comes and you want to look at, okay, what is the ROI? If you as a business owner look at what is the ROI instead of the cost, you can make those types of mind shift changes that are so imperative to growth of a business.
Yeah, that's a great way. Let's talk about Chicago. Are you bullish on Chicago? What do you see the next 5 years, both from a lending perspective, from an investor? Obviously, we have some wind in our face a little bit, but what is your outlook on
Chicago, I think
Yeah.
Chicago real estate has always done well, and it will continue to do well. I have a property in Lincoln Park, a single family home that we rent out. I have it rented now for 9 months, and previous on that one, Wilson Contreras lived there for the
Oh,
season,
cool.
which was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So he rented out. I left it fully furnished. I think some of the tricks that you can do, right, is if you're renting out a property in Chicago, you want to keep the property for as long as possible, right? So you keep the property, maybe keep it fully furnished so that you're not paying for the repairs and everything else. So I think, the 5-year plan is real estate's going to increase. The mansion tax, I'm not really worried about it. You don't want to ever vote for anybody to have to pay more taxes. That is always a no. Like, do not ever vote for more tax, because The minute you vote for more tax, they're going to want more tax and more and more
Yep.
and more. Do not ever vote yes for any taxes.
Agreed. Cool.
What about the industry as a whole? You know, I think with NAR changing and all those changes that are going to take place for the next, the realtor side is going to change. That's going to probably change the mortgage side as well too. How do you see your industry as a whole?
So
And then,
you're always going to have divorces. You're going to always have people relocating. People need to refinance or buy and sell, and you're going to do that every 3 to 5 years typically, right? So it is what it is, right? So if the listing agent just can't put that number on there, then they negotiate it. You want to know as a buyer, what are you paying in commissions, right? Don't you want to know, right? As a loan officer, I give a loan estimate.
yeah.
So I don't think that it's that. I don't think it's the end of the world. Are people gonna get out of the business that did 1 loan or 2 loans a year? Sells? Of course they are, because they're licensing costs,
How do you
right?
think? I think the realtor community will shrink over the next few
Agreed.
every 2 years when they have to renew. How do you think that will? Do you think your guys' side will shrink as well too, as far as the amount of people actually getting deals done?
I don't think the real estate.
It's very.
commission-
Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
You have a very competitive industry, and there's a lot of options. Like
Mhm.
there's I don't know how many licensed lenders there are running around here, but there's a lot. It feels like a
Mhm.
lot. Do you think that will tighten up as there becomes less realtors, and they have to become different types of realtors?
I mean, industries shrink, they get back, right? So the minute the refi boom happens, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to go
You
get
guys
their
always
license.
have the refi.
We always have the refi,
yeah.
right? The refis are gravy. We don't count on the refi money, because if you count the refi money, you're screwed. You always want to count exactly your purchases, and you want to be a purchase heavy shop. That's what we are, because the refis are your family and friends that you're hooking up to get a lower rate. So to answer your question directly, I think it will affect the business and it will change it forever. But what industry hasn't been changed? Happens to every industry, right?
I got one more question because I'm
Yeah.
curious about this, because I'd be curious to see how you approach it. Obviously, we talked about winterizing, like, you know, a guy could come in here and have a killer spring and go broke, but how he spends in the spring or summer will mess him up, and it'll screw you over too, because he's not going to be productive or might leave. Like,
Mhm.
how do you set the expectations for, you know, uncertainty of the next season, I guess, like going forward?
So the question is, Tom, can you rephrase that?
How do you set your employees up for success? Of they're gonna get giant checks for one chunk of the year, then
Yeah.
have to go through winter.
I see.
I
You
see.
got
Yeah,
some new
yeah.
hotshot first
Yeah.
time through, and
Yeah, he makes a couple $100,000 in the spring, goes buys a new car, and then he can't get a deal closed for 2
Right.
months.
So the people that we hire are financially savvy.
Thank you.
That's it.
Really? So
Yeah.
that's the goal. Okay.
Yeah.
they're selling loans. They gotta know something.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see that. I
Not
see
some
that.
boiler rooms.
Yeah.
That's good.
So,
That's good.
all right, cool. We ready to wrap?
Yep.
Good job. Great questions.
All right, you got a lightning round now. You thought you're off the hook. You're not.
I'm ready.
What is your unique ability? How have you been able to do what you've been able to do while so many other people wish they could?
I see talent when other people don't, and I pick out the winner in each person.
Yeah, you actually did that. You demonstrated that today.
I like that. All right, what is one piece of advice you would tell someone who is yet to buy their first property in Chicago?
Buy it as quick as possible and as soon as possible and as young as possible.
All right. What do you do for fun?
I work.
Oh, there's more than
Let me
that.
rephrase the question. Besides work, what do
Yeah.
you do for fun?
Our original.
I agree. That's fun for me
I
too.
like working. I don't know.
No, we had like a whole
hang
hour
out.
conversation about
Yeah.
this. The original.
I'm going out with you guys tonight.
Yeah,
I'm so
we are.
excited.
We're
Yeah.
recording this right before our 4-year anniversary party.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm decked up right
Yeah.
now. All right, we'll give you a pass on that. What is a good book, podcast, or self-development activity that you'd recommend to our listeners?
I love grabbing books at the airport. It's one of my favorite things.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's my
Paying
thing.
$40
Yes.
for the.
Like, I just love them. I just bought a stack of a few of them. I started reading like How to Become a Billionaire, and that was the one I was just reading this past week. So I guess I read. That's what I do. I read.
All right. There you go.
Mhm.
There you go. All right. Who name somebody that's a valuable resource for another Chicago investor here
Name you guys. Besides you guys?
besides us.
Yeah.
Besides us or you. We'll take it though.
Yeah.
You don't have to edit that out, but you got to come up with someone else.
We do the investor meetups.
Okay. Who runs that? You get
John.
Okay.
Jonathan
Okay.
Clem.
Yeah, Jonathan Clem is great.
All right.
We don't have our notes in front of us. Episode. We'll
Yeah.
look it up and plug it in. So, all right, awesome. Nina,
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
Pepsi or Coke?
I'm one of those guys. I don't drink pop.
Yeah, water.
Oh my
We're
God.
boring.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's-
Ever?
What's it for you?
You guys never
I
drink
would
pop?
be Mountain Dew then. If we're
Mountain
gonna drink,
Dew.
like Mountain Dew or Dr Pepper, I want the caffeine. If I'm gonna
You're
drinks.
going in. What's your favorite cocktail?
In the winter, I'll go bourbon whiskey,
Bourbon.
like Browns.
On the rocks?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Big Rock?
Oh,
One
yeah.
Big Rock?
One big rock.
Got it. I read that.
Kettle rocks with a lime.
Got it.
Springy summer.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to drink tonight?
No, I probably won't drink. I gotta drive to St. Charles.
Oh, yeah. That's far.
Yeah.
That's far.
Navigator's got nice and easy just to walk up there and get your beer though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very nice.
That's nice.
No bartender. So, all right. Well, Nina, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. You provide a
Thanks,
ton of value to our listeners. How can they learn more about you? Is there any way they can provide value to you?
Yes, you guys can refer us. Go to our website at www.anmtg.com, and you can always call us at 773-305-5626.
See, we know that you've been around longer because you said www.
I know. You're not supposed to say that
No
anymore.
ampersand, though.
Loser. Yeah.
All right, we got a Chicago fact, and we'll wrap here. So, Mark, who are we playing for? Who's sponsoring?
All right, we're playing for Dave DeBlancy, and our sponsor today is Lavelle Law, Chance Badisher. And Dave, if you get if one of us gets this right, you'll get a $50 gift card brought to you by Lavelle Law.
All right, so in doing our homework, our guest today is a UIC grad, right? So the UIC, they are the Flames. What is the name of their mascot? And I'll give you 4 options. So is it Hot Harold, Freddie the Flame, Sparky the Dragon, or Benny the Burn? They're the Flames.
Oh, Con, you went there. You don't even
No,
know
I
this?
don't even know.
I thought this would be a gimme.
It can't be Benny because that's probably Benny the Bull or something.
I would have said Benny the Burn.
I think he's making that up. Look at his eyes.
Benny the Burn, and you take Freddie the Flame. Like, I think those would
And
be
then
the two.
could you say Freddie the Flame? Is that loud?
Oh, he said Gypsy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh God, I feel bad.
Are you
Oh.
going
Is
with
that
Freddie the Flame?
Freddie and Benny?
It's not Benny.
For sure?
No, I have no idea.
I'm going to give you, she's right. Not Benny.
Oh.
They're down to 3 choices.
Phone a friend. Call Lance.
What was the other two?
There was Sparky the Dragon, Benny the Bird, Freddie the Flame, Hot Harold.
I
Hot
guess
Harold
it's
sounds like
Freddie the
chicken.
Flame.
Like
It's got to
fried
be
chicken,
Freddie the
like-
Flame, right?
So you say Freddie the Flame. I'll say
I have no idea.
Sparky the...
I gave you guys a lot of outs there. It was Sparky.
All right.
Sparky
Oh,
the
good
Dragon.
job.
Sparky the
It's a
Dragon.
dragon.
I got to see that logo. I'm going to have to check that out. All right. So we got it right. Dave, you get a $50 gift card brought to you by Lavelle Law. That was awesome. Great episode. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting us. You have an amazing building. You have
First road game for us. This is nice.
This is our first on the road show.
Should come back.
Thank you to Lance, who took 3 hours out of his day to set this all up. My God.
Yes,
This
yes.
is way more effort than us.
Listeners, check out Build Your Team. StraightUpChicagoInvestor.com. Go check out Build Your Team. Jonathan Clem's actually on there as well, too, on Build Your Team. And then he's also on there. The meetup is also on the Chicagoland meetups at StraightUpChicagoInvestor.com. Thank you so much for having us. Tom, thank you. Listeners, we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks all.